You know that feeling when everyone else looks to you in a crisis? The phone rings, and it's your parents' doctor. Your teenager needs a ride. Work is unraveling. The group chat goes quiet until you respond. And you respond. You always do. There's a certain kind of person who handles things before anyone asks, who notices what's falling apart and quietly steps in, who keeps track of birthdays, passwords, medications, emotional temperature, who doesn't panic, at least not out loud. Most people never notice this, but the calm one in the room is often the most tired. Not dramatically tired, not collapse on the floor tired, just worn. There's a weight in being the one who absorbs impact, the one who smooths things over, the one who doesn't need much, the one who figured out early that if something needed doing, you might as well do it yourself. From the outside, it looks like competence, independence, strength. From the inside, it can feel like a switch you never learned how to turn off. And when people call you resilient, part of you wants to laugh, because resilience sounds like a compliment. It doesn't capture the exhaustion of being perpetually responsible. For a long time, this has been misunderstood. You've been described as detached, as ironic, as emotionally low maintenance, as the generation that shrugs and says, whatever. But underneath that cool exterior is a nervous system that rarely fully rests. It isn't apathy. It isn't indifference. It isn't a lack of depth. It's adaptation. And this is where we need to talk about something that rarely gets explained properly: the latchkey imprint. Gen X is often described as the generation that came home to empty houses, keys around their necks, microwaves humming, afternoons stretching long without adult supervision. But the deeper story isn't about being alone in a physical sense. It's about what the nervous system learns when independence arrives too early. There's more going on here than people realize. In developmental psychology, we know that the brain wires itself around patterns of safety and response. When a child repeatedly handles things alone, getting home, making snacks, solving small crises, the brain strengthens circuits related to self-reliance and vigilance. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and problem-solving, becomes active early. The stress response system learns to regulate internally without consistent external soothing. The body gets good at self-containment. That's not inherently harmful. In fact, it builds competence, executive function, resourcefulness. But here's the part that often goes unspoken. The nervous system doesn't just learn how to act independently. It learns that support is uncertain. Research on attachment shows that when care is inconsistent, not absent but unpredictable, children often develop a kind of emotional self-sufficiency. They minimize their needs. They don't expect others to notice. They become capable because they have to be. Over time, this becomes identity. I've got it. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about me. By adulthood, this wiring is so natural it feels like personality. But it's not just personality. It's a survival strategy that became permanent, and then life layered on top of it. Now you're in midlife, aging parents, growing children, careers that demand more than they give. You are the bridge between generations, holding up both ends. Your nervous system is still running the old program. Handle it. Don't ask. Keep moving. The problem is, what worked at 12 doesn't always nourish you at 50. The body wasn't meant to self-regulate in isolation forever. Humans are wired for co-regulation, the subtle calming that happens when someone else shares the load. when your stress response can soften because you're not alone in it. But if your system learned early that aloneness equals safety, leaning feels unnatural, so you keep going. There's no dramatic breakdown, just a quiet, ongoing fatigue. This isn't about blame. It isn't about parents who were working long hours or a culture that valued independence. Many of those choices were shaped by economics, by social change, by necessity. Different generations are wired differently because they were raised in different emotional climates. No one style is inherently better or worse, but every wiring comes with trade-offs. And here's the paradox. The same imprint that made you capable, the latchkey independence, also makes it hard to rest in someone else's care. You are exceptionally good at handling responsibility. You are less practiced at receiving support. You can manage logistics in your sleep. You can stay calm in chaos. You can be the adult in the room. But when someone asks, "How are you really?" there's often a pause. Not because you don't have feelings, but because you learned not to center them. There's a hidden cost to being early independent. It can create a life that is stable and productive, but internally lonely. Not lonely in the sense of having no one around. Lonely in the sense of rarely being the one who is held. And that exhaustion you feel? It isn't a weakness. It's the nervous system asking for something it didn't get enough of early on, shared weight. None of this means you're broken. In many ways, this imprint gave you enormous strengths. Adaptability, emotional containment, the ability to function in uncertainty. You likely became the friend people trust, the colleague people rely on, the parent who shows up. There is value in that. The shift is simply this: recognizing that independence was once a strategy, not a mandate. You don't have to dismantle who you are. You don't have to become someone else. But you might gently notice when your reflex to handle everything alone activates. You might experiment with letting someone else carry a piece, even a small one. Not because you're incapable, but because you were never meant to carry it all. The exhaustion makes sense. It's the body saying, "I've been the adult for a long time." If this resonates, there's probably more beneath the surface. Patterns you've been living with so long they feel invisible. And sometimes just seeing the pattern is the first real rest you've had in years.